All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody had a great 4th of July weekend. First and foremost, everybody could give me a little hey, what's up? Shout out. Let me know everything is working. I think it is. Just let me know you can hear me. Can everyone hear me and see the screen? All right, all is working great. Don't be shy. And good morning to each of you as well. Awesome. Good deal. Hey, Colin, Amanda, John, everybody. Okay. We give everybody a minute or so to get on here. Yeah, I think we're all set to go. Got ourselves a flat market as usual, but if the last week or so means anything, right? Flat, boring market, and then flat, boring market, right? So I think we're getting close to a we. Ride that wave as long as you can. Good morning to sunny hot Brooklyn. Yeah, we had a toasty one yesterday, but it cooled off pretty nice. Actually, cooled off really nicely. And then I don't know, I think we got some more. Let's see what's shaking here. Yeah, we're going to be testing 90 again today. Looks like we're in the general vicinity of 90s all week. So, a little bit, looks like I got some rain coming in maybe tomorrow and Wednesday. Let's see. Yeah, looks like tomorrow night going into Wednesday. Yep. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and get on into it here. Probably not too many surprises, I would say, after last Monday. Um, the previous Friday didn't look great. As you can see here, we had a nice little, looked like a pretty good reversal type of day. I guess we were a little lower on Monday, but it's not it's not exactly what we meant by lower. Um, but yeah, then once we completely kind of flipped it around, as you can see here on Monday, seemed pretty clear that we were probably running back up to 20K. And if we got back up there again, odds would seem to favor, taking it out, and we did. So as usual, S&P and look at the Nasdaq here. S&P taking out the 5,500 mark, which kind of corresponds with that 20K mark. So these two moving pretty much lock and step for probably all the obvious reasons. As usual, to go with it, no dice on the NYSE, no dice on the Russell, no dice on the Dow. So at some point, I assume this will resolve itself. Always does. But it's been close to 2 months now since any one of these three have hit a new high. So we'll see how much longer the S&P and Nasdaq can march higher and higher without, you know, relatively large chunks of the market maybe refusing to go with. Did take a look at the, kind of, we've been talking a little bit about the breadth measurement when we look at the, just kind of sticking to one thing, the stocks above the 50-day. The Nasdaq improved a little bit. Actually, not looking as shabby. S&P still sitting in the high 30, like right around 40, 39, 40%. Only 39 or 40% of S&P stocks are above their 50 days, so still looking questionable. But I think what that tells us is the bulk of the gains are coming from obviously a specific sector or two. In fact, I think if I read correctly, a third of the S&P's gains this year have come from Nvidia alone. But what was worth noting, I don't know if anybody still uses the term FANG, maybe because Facebook is now Meta, but saw a pretty good pop across the board there. Meta having the biggest non-earnings day it's had in the entire year, so didn't quite see that one coming. But there's your Meta. So we got Amazon and Apple, right? Ang. Amazon would have been the one sole, I guess you could say, laggard on Friday, but it was still up, and I think it's trying to get through the 200, but 200 mark. But Apple, great day. Sure looks parabolic-y. There's your Google. Netflix didn't, it's all right. Did kind of hold above that little resistance shelf. So, like Amazon struggling a little bit with 200. I think you got Netflix here, maybe struggling a little bit with 700. But so we see a lot of these guys coming back in the fray. Microsoft having a pretty good day. All the big boys doing pretty well. So where that takes us right now, it's higher. Discretionary. We talked about this last week. Discretionary stocks broke out earlier in the week. Our guess was communications probably did well, and we were right. So there you go. Biggest day for communications, it looks like the entire year as well. So kind of an outsized day on Friday. And then even though tech, I mean, it's still been doing well overall and hitting the new highs. So it would seem that these are the places you'd want to be. Um, we've seen what things like industrials not doing as well. Industrials kind of sitting here messing around. Keep an eye on this for smart trades, but right around here. So we'll see if that holds up, and who breaks first, right? 126 or 120 should give us an idea. Obviously, looking similar to the Dow, which obviously, the industrials here. Who else did we see not performing all that well? I mean, staples weren't, but they did have a good Friday. Healthcare lagging a little bit. What are some of our other favorites here? Home builders breaking down, seemingly. So yeah, so that's the kind of the overall market. Again, nothing's really changing. It's been the same for months now. Uh, as you see, Nasdaq, the 100 here, looking great. Has been ever since we finished up our little pullback back there. S&P moving pretty much lock and step with it. Right, so probably has a lot to do with the obvious. And then Russell going nowhere, NYC going nowhere, Dow going nowhere. So none of this has changed for the better part of a month to 2 months here from their peaks. And for now, no reason to think that it won't. And the strength seems to be in certain, you know, at least as it looked on Friday. I mean, sure, it looks like Amazon's ready to get through that 200 finally. Wants to. As far as these other guys, I don't know. It's tough when you start going straight up in the air like this. It starts to get a little bit tough to hold your nose and just buy. Um, I mean, the real trade was back here breaking out of the triangle there. So I think that was your best opportunity. But um, there's a reason why they say markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, right? There's nothing saying this thing can't keep going up, up, up and away. But I don't know. Might be some better stocks to look at elsewhere, um, or keep trying to ride the train. I mean, it's up another dollar here today. Apple going parabolic, I guess. I don't know if I had to pick one of these. I don't know. Like I said, it's from a short-term trading perspective. I don't know. It's a little bit hard to say. Yeah, something that was up more than it's been up the entire year. Again, except for earnings. Yeah, let's jump in. So, but do like the volatility of it that it's moved, and I can see playing a little bit of movement there. It's like it's up even more. So yeah. What other stocks are we watching here? Tesla having a good week last week, obviously. Speaking of, nothing saying you can't keep going. This thing just popped on Monday and really didn't stop from 200 clear up to 250. Down a little bit here to start the day. Um, Again, it's one of those things you want to ask yourself if you're gonna get in something like this. Are you doing it because you know you're making a sound, rational trading decision, or is it FOMO, right? Um, so if you see a reason to think this is just going to keep going, but it has been on quite possibly the best 1 week move it's ever been on, and you just kind of start asking yourself, am I late to the party? There'll always be other opportunities, pull back here or there, but certainly seems to be on its way up to some higher levels here. So we've been talking a little bit about this trend line here, right? So kind of internal, but tested here and then here and here and here. So this could be something. We'll see if it still matters. I think we used to have, hold on a second. I think we used to have one here. Thought we did. Something around there. Out of that area. It's almost like right through here. That might be the better one. Why didn't we? I could have sworn this was already on our chart. Kind of right. Yeah, pretty nice little trend line that took out. Whether or not this one holds up, yeah, time will tell. But I think you could see running back up here to this old high. This one, that trend line was already there. This one seems like it's been moved. I know that happens with these charts sometimes. Like it should be right there. So we'll see. Any lines and stuff. But anyway, all right. So yeah, I think we'll kind of sit tight on that. Stock though, kind of keep an eye on here is ANF. Obviously had a great little run up into its earnings, nice pop, and seems to be consolidating in a pennant of sorts. So one would think 170 there will give us a support bounce. Could go long there. Could wait for the breakout the top side here. But if you want to give it a shot here, it's not a bad idea. Then expect to pop to the upside. And if it fails to hold 170, then you got your cue as far as exiting as well. So we're keeping an eye on you. Who else? Hey, happy Monday to you too, Jake. Good morning, Barry, everybody. Good morning, Jeffrey. Good morning to all. So where were we? Oh, so yeah. So I kind of like this. Seems to be a classic setup for a pop to the upside. And from a bullish stance, I'd either want to get in. Looks like it would. Seems like it would finish the job today, get to 170. Then you can look at. Oh, I don't know. I mean, you could look at sticking with just this week. So here's your 180s. Drop on down to the 170. You're probably only going to be around a buck. Yeah, probably only around a buck to buy the 180s. 175s could be probably close to two-ish. So that's not a bad idea either. So yeah, I'd be looking at somewhere in that area. On the flip side, if it doesn't bother to drop at all and turns right around, kind of take out this here, I would think the bottom line, I think just this is a nice little bullish setup, somewhat in the same vein as what we just talked about with Apple. You know, it's a nice little bullish setup, similar, ran up. Obviously, had the AI news, which honestly, if any of you want to get together, let's just form a company and just start talking about AI, right? Our stock will go crazy. What do you sell? Erasers on the ends of pencils. But hold on, hear me out. AI is creating the eraser. Wait a minute, hold on. You didn't say anything about that. Now you know. I like gold to get higher. So got a nice little perfect little spot there. Take out 2400. Should take you to 2450. Take out 2450. And we should be off to 2600 or so. Or higher. Probably higher. But we're going to keep an eye on that for trading the GLD. So once we get that move, GLD seems to be moving ahead. So we're going to watch you. Who else are we going to watch? Now, if we can get a pullback sometime here soon, I think the XLY, speaking of ETFs, I think the XLY pulling back to this 185 would be nice. Remember the last time we were waiting for a pullback? It was, and it never happened. Well, I mean, it did. Well, hold on. I don't think it actually did. It's back here. Yeah, never. Not yet, anyway. Kind of got this break, and we're hoping for an XHB pullback, and it just never did. I mean, it might be now. So our puts on this are going pretty well. But we didn't go out very long, so we don't have a whole lot of time. All right, who else are we watching? Interesting watching these guys. Probably doesn't mean anything, but nowadays it seems like nothing means anything. Just, hey, we're going higher. At least if the NASDAQ, the S&P, you are. Which, keep that in mind as well. You know, the stock picking has been a challenge. When you get a fractured market like this, where it's like, you know, this big group's not going, this big group, and you get a kind of, one thing we do know is going is that if, quote, the market moves higher, what do we know for fact has moved higher every single time? The NASDAQ and the S&P. So don't hesitate to look at this guy or this guy. Then you don't have to worry about the stocks. But anyway, all right. So, but yeah, back to the semis. I was curious about Cat. I don't really like this stock anymore. It's junk. Hmm. Can't remember the last time I ate at McDonald's. It's been a while. Let me think. No, no, I forget about it. So if you'd have told me like the Nasdaq, the 100, and had been moving higher, but the semis were struggling here, I'd be might not have believed you, but here we are. Uh, Nvidia struggling a little bit. Seemed to wake up on Wednesday, and then Friday kind of had a little bit of a letdown. But I think if you can hold above 130, you're probably at least testing your highs. We'll see. Almost looked like we had a little head and shoulders there being put together. Solar trying to hold the line there. The Delta 5 driven by AI. Well, isn't everything now? Am I hearing the outlook is looking higher? Hey, Sean. I would say the outlook's. I mean, the market has done the exact same thing now for like what I guess a couple months. Ever since we had that reversal, S&P and the Nasdaq here. So all we do since this nice little reversal, this turnaround about 2 months ago, S&P, although you know, pathetically, has moved higher, except for here, right? Before that, it's just been a mess. Really, the S&P only moved higher like 2 days in this entire run, right? Here and here. Otherwise, for like a month and a half, the S&P didn't go anywhere, right? Sideways, 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 sideways. Well, I guess you could say here. So 3 days, right? This day, here, and here. Take out these three, S&P did nothing but go sideways for over a month, you know? So, and that's not making our trading necessarily easier, right? This nice little stretch, we'd love to see stuff like this, you know, and maybe we should have trusted this move a little bit more than we did last week because of this, right? Because we know we don't hadn't been getting days, right, that were more than just you can even go back here, right? I mean, just nothing but nonsense. So, although the S&P has made its way higher, right? If you just look at it, just pan out and look at, but you'll notice that those gains have been isolated to just these 3 days. Otherwise, this was almost 2 weeks of nothing, right? 3 days, whatever of nothing, a week of nothing, right? But so to your question, it's been the same. Nothing's really changing. Um, the market ended on a positive note last week. Nothing about this looks like a rally that's over. And if we look back just overall, one would think we are a little bit closer to a pullback of some kind, probably a half day, or probably more sideways chop. But yeah, I mean, we finished on a positive note, right? You see, kind of broke through those levels. Am I super excited to get long here? Not really, you know, but it is what it is. And for now, 2 months, right? Russell actually fell on Friday. NYC, nowhere. Dow, nowhere. So, same spot we've been in. But you got to go with what the overall move is, and kind of, when you look at it, you've got what do we got? We got definitely up, definitely up, right? Sideways, I don't know what you want to call that. What do we want to call that, everybody? Want to call that sideways or up? What do I want to call the Dow here? Sideways or up? I mean, I guess kind of, sort of up. What I would say is if you combine it with the Russell, you get kind of down, right? So basically, two up, one sideways, and a wash. Put together, you got to be thinking basically up, right? But I think that you definitely need to be. The good news is, I think the market is making it clear where you want to be. You don't want to. This isn't that market that we might have had a year ago, or you know, coming out of the bear, something like that, where it's just an all aboard, everything's rising. Now it's a little bit more challenging. Okay, so if your watch list looks anything like mine, even though hey, Nasdaq new high, hey, S&P new high, half our stocks on any given day are down. Okay, and that's not really surprising. That's why we've looked at breadth like we have. I think last week we discussed. I thought it was great. Jake, uh, I think Jake sent this to me. No, 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 wait a minute. Who sent this to me? It was Jake. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if I can. I'm not sure if I can pull this up. Let's see if it'll let me. I'm nervous about pulling anything else up here. How that may or may not work. Okay, let's see if I can. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, can everybody see that? Hopefully that's showing. Should be pace of record percent of stocks beating the S&P 500. Still kind of getting familiar with this StreamYard, so let me know if that is showing or not. Showing. Okay, good. All right. So just goes hand in hand with what we've been saying for past not only weeks but months, right? Underneath the hood of that car, it's not quite as thrilling as we might think. Not very many stocks keeping up. Um, so it's not. No, William, that's not what's showing. What's showing is the percentage stock beating the S&P 500. Well, should be showing. Now, that doesn't mean that the market. That doesn't mean you should go out shorting things. I'm definitely not saying go out and just short everything. But you know, it's not as easy as say, look right here after the dot com, right? It's kind of like maybe more of an all aboard type thing, right? You could just buy, and that's typically. No, I think everybody gets the point, William. I don't think we should have to show it or need to. I think everybody gets the idea, right? That it's just we have a market that you know parts of it are going up, parts of it aren't. Let's get that back out of here. If I can get this back up here. Wait a second. Like I said, still kind of getting used to this thing. Well, hold on. Thinking about it. But anyway, but yeah. So of course, yeah. I mean, equally weighted. But you're seeing that with everything else. Like we can see that without seeing that, and that's the point. So just know where to be. Like if you're going to go along, and yeah, Sean, absolutely. Yeah, you guys got to hold your nose, right, and just. But I would say just what you want to be doing is just if you're gonna, you want to get long on the things that are working, that are telling us, right? What do we know is working right now as we just walk through, right? So services, tech, discretionary, right? So what did we see happen on Friday, right? We saw all that kind of doing well. Uh, and in previous run-ups, right? I mean, through here, we saw the same thing. That when we got that little rally, it was those same areas, specifically tech, that was working. We know where we probably don't want to be, right? So focus on those. I mean, and overall, you probably want to be on the long side. Save your put trades for things that are breaking down. But again, when you look at it, what we just looked at, right? We looked at 5 indexes. We basically saw two up and basically three sideways, if you will, right? Call it two up, a flat, kind of up, kind of down. Well, what if you put 5 trades on? You probably want to be definitely long on two of them, long on a third possibly, and maybe one put, right? So trade accordingly. And yeah, otherwise, yeah, same old nonsense. Although it looks like we'll push higher here as usual. Again, if you're the S&P and Nasdaq, that is. And speaking of, what is everybody else doing? Hey, Russell's up today. NYC pushing a little higher. And keep in mind, this has to resolve itself eventually, right? At some point. So maybe these three guys all catch up and finally say, all right, we're ready to get on board there. But the bottom line is, at this stage, you got to keep erring on mostly the side of up. And even with all the indexes currently in the green, notice how, as usual, half my list is in the red. So, but anyway, all right. So some of the stocks we looked at, Google pulling back. Again, no real surprises when you have these big, huge days like that. Not going to be too surprising. That's why I said I wouldn't want to be just jumping in right out of the gate. Pullback would be nice. I mean, Meta pulling back to this area would be great. 525-ish right through here. I don't know if that's something you can get, but I mean, if you could, that would be kind of nice. Let's take a look at that ANF. Again, the 170 area would be kind of nice there. Oh, SMCI, if they waking up, look at you. We'll keep watching that guy. AMD had a nice day last week, so AMD could be worth a watch here. Worth a play. What do we got? Our 172 mark here. 184. I don't know. Don't know about you. I know. Was it now? Had a good day. Oh, giving every bit of it back. Sorry to hear that. Sorry about your luck. Just looking around here a little bit. BMY broke down. We're watching that. If Tesla pulled back. I mean, I guess it would depend on how big of a pullback. I mean, I guess what I would say is, where would I get in on a pullback? And that would be back here. It's the most obvious shelf. Otherwise, a little bit tougher for me to say, just looking at this. But all right, who else is moving over here? Not much else of interest there. Seasonally, let's take one look at our seasonality here. Let's see what we got. I mean, we looked at this before. There wasn't a whole lot to be worried about in front of us seasonally. I'm looking at our S&P. Yeah, let's pull that up here. We'll wrap it up with this. The interesting thing about that, this will be, remember this? So the trick here is, we were looking at the green line. I don't know if the sitting president's going to be running, but now historically, over recent years and decades, July has been a very favorable month. If you look at the presidential cycle, it's not. Not necessarily bad, but it would be more sideways to down towards the end. But if we, let's say we take out the green sitting president running, things start to get a little rocky right there in that typical September into October, right? There isn't a whole lot to be, like I said, you can kind of see, look at the red, if you look at the overall, and I do have the overall somewhere, but you know, looks like we could run into a rough second half of July, or heck, if you look at the red one, we could start running into a problem now. But again, if we basically look at the green, which is where we currently are, but I think you can see overall they're basically the same. Basically, but anyway, okay. So that's that. Um, I mean, bottom line. So let's get out of the short term. Bottom line, market's moving higher. Um, I don't see any reason not to expect higher overall weeks and or months in front of us throughout the end of the year. If something pops up, we have talked about momentum concerns, um, but those aren't like a, those aren't like a timing tool per se. So pullbacks should simply be opportunities to get long. Should. Um, big, nice, uninterrupted run ups like this, usually need corrected in a meaningful type fashion. So, all right, we shall leave it there, folks, and we'll come back and do it again next week. As always, good luck in the trading, and make some money.